With so many new players on Hypixel Skyblock's new game mode, Stranded, there has to be a bunch of new players that are wondering how to play the game, as this is the first time this game mode has ever really been seen before. I mean, of course you could have done it on your private island previously, like I did, and got much experience doing. But you could have done that. But now there's an actual game mode built around it, and there's a bunch of new tips and tricks, and I also just kind of want to teach some of the old tips and tricks that you could use on Hypixel Skyblock's new Stranded mode. And before I get into how to play the first 12 hours of gameplay with some tips and tricks in there as well, if you could do me a if you could do me a favor, and please leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new. It would really help me out as we're trying to go for 500 subs before March. So that would be really nice. And with that out of the way, let's begin. So the first tip that I always like to give when starting these profiles is to head over to here. You know, if you were to do this, obviously this spawn has been heavily modified as I've been playing this for more than a day. But the first thing I always like to do is to make yourself a set of stone tools, whether you're playing the new Hypixel Skyblock Stranded or you're playing on a vanilla profile, which, let's be real, why are you doing it on a vanilla profile? I would much rather you do it on Stranded. The first thing you're always going to want to do is to break the tree and try and get saplings from it. If you do not get a sapling, which I believe you are supposed to get a sapling, at least one, then you're kind of screwed. You're going to have to restart the profile and everything, and it really could mess up your progression pretty badly. So, yeah, definitely. The next next thing you want to do is also to head down to here, as this is where a bunch of your resources are going to come from, is down in this hole down here. I've patched it up because we're trying to work on it. But down here, there's going to be a little chest where you can collect some resources. I think there's a couple dirt blocks down there, lava, water, bone meal. And you also want to mine, right here. I'll just make it if there was a coal block back here. So you want to mine, right here, and back in here, in this specific spot on the island, there's a coal block, whether it's Stranded or the normal one. There will be a coal piece right there. That coal piece is your lifeline, especially if you cannot get oak logs. Also, I recommend breaking this, but I forgot to do that in my previous stream, which, by the way, if you want to watch these Stranded streams, I do have a VODs playlist of them, and you can also check out the VODs on my channel that I've uploaded as well. Also on Stranded, there's a high amount of mob spawns, very, very much more than usual normal Skyblock. This is very important, as you're going to want to utilize the mob spawns so that way you can get a ton of minion slots. Now, what's the first minion I always like to go for? Well, that would be the cobble minion. It is the first minion you should be considering even touching, as it is one of your most primary sources to get a bunch of resources. Cobblestone will be your main building block, and it will be your best friend on a profile like this, as it's one of the cheapest and easiest blocks to get, especially with the help of minions. Now, what I like doing is crafting about 4 of these minions, setting them up to work like so. I had 4 of them right here, but we replaced it with a coal minion, a birch minion, 2 oaks, and we had a wheat minion down, but we don't now. We're just kind of manually farming wheat. And you really want to try and rush getting a bunch of cobblestone, as it's basically your life at this point. You also want to try and rush getting an oak minion, as wood is also your best friend on a profile like this as well, because you're going to need wood for a variety of things, such as small storages, medium storages, which all at the end of the day boost minion efficiency and more minion storage, which minions are your lifeline on this profile. There's a lot of lifelines on this profile. So also you see here on the sides as well, the banker, the weaponsmith, the carpenter, the blacksmith, Rosetta, and Plumber Joe. You really want to rush getting a banker. We have 58,000 coins. Jerry is mayor right now, so that is probably why we have got 58,000 coins, is because Jerry's mayor, and you just get a lot of coins during Jerry, and especially since you can't really do anything with those Jerry boxes on this profile, you just have to open them because Bazaar does not work. So, yeah. The next thing you want to focus is killing a bunch of mobs and trying to farm up a bunch of trees. I suggest with farming trees that you make you make a platform over here and do 1 block of dirt like we've done here. And fill them all up with oak and make them a few blocks apart from each other, like 3 or 4 blocks apart, and then just let them grow. So that way you're not combining like farming areas and tree areas. So that way it's not all crowded. Another tip I would also recommend doing is I've seen people do compact farm designs with like cobble generators. Honestly, there is no need for a cobble generator in this unless you really just want mining XP, but then again, you could just set down 4 coal minions to get even more mining XP from just mining the coal. So I really don't get why people do that, but I prefer just getting 4 cobble minions and mining up the cobblestone. But what I would recommend doing is setting up a fishing spot over here with the 1 water source that you have and setting up a bunch of dirt that you get automatically from the spawn island over there and setting up a farm fish spot. Now, obviously, we've had the fish minion down over here, but if he wasn't here, you could fish right here and let this grow, which will give you more minion slots, and it will help you out. Minion slots are your main goal on a profile like this. You want to rush as many minion slots as you humanly can. Also, you see the increased amount of monsters, not mobs like, oh gosh, it lagged. You see the increased amount of monster spawns and the animal spawns. Now, before on Hypixel Skyblock, animal spawns were very rare. Now, they're extremely common. People said breeding these were better. In my opinion, that's not true. I say killing them is better and faster because you can just kill them and you also get some combat XP as well. I think you get a bit of farming and combat XP, which is a double bonus. Plus, on a profile like this, you get combat XP from killing the animals, which is a big problem because as you can see here, I am currently Warrior 6 or Combat 6, which means I'm getting a bunch of mobs that are really, really hard. Used to be when on like my other streams and stuff, when you leveled up your combat, these things weren't a big problem, but with these you don't really have a lot of weapons to begin with, so it's kind of hard to take them out. But once you can start to level up in your skills and things, you can get a bunch of things from these guys. The next tip I'd like to do with these stranded profiles is to make an end sword. This will be your first sword that you really are going to want to have. The end sword just costs 2 ender pearls and you use them. I'll just use a stick right here and pretend the oak is an ender pearl and that's ender pearl. That is the crafting recipe for one of these and you want to use that for getting yourself an end sword. This sword is really good. It will be able to help you tremendously with your combat journey, and it just helps you out a lot. Now, the next thing I really recommend doing is getting this guy over here, the banker. He will be one of your best friends. Like, all these guys are your best friends right here. But basically, having a banker is a very safe way to keep a lot of money stored. Now, I know you might not see a lot of money on a profile like this. Maybe a few million is like what a billionaire would have. But you really are going to want to grind money, as the thing is, on older profiles, all you had to worry about was water buckets. Now you actually have people like the weaponsmith and Rosetta and a bunch of other people like the bazaar as well. So you actually have a lot of reasons to grind money on a profile like this. And before, it was just like you wanted 12,000 coins and you were set. And it really is a great way to do and save your coins, especially if you have a lot of them on you. Like, even in normal Skyblock, you want to bank your coins. But the way you get this is by having 1,000 coins. So you need 1,000 coins, which is very, very hard to get, especially if you keep dying a lot. But once you have 1K coins, then you can buy yourself a banker, and then you can place them anywhere on your island, then come up to him and deposit your coins. As you see, we have 58K, probably from getting a Jerry or 2. But you just want to continue to kill mobs. Mob farming is one of your biggest instances on a profile like this, because you're going to want all those precious mob resources that you could usually get. I had to just do that because I didn't want to lose any money. I didn't have any on me, but I just didn't want to lose any if I did. You also want to get in the habit of having a hotkey set up so that way you don't lose money even if you don't have a banker, as it is really important that you don't lose money. So usually your collections are going to get leveled up pretty fast, as I think they've done a rework on how collections work in this mode, and you get collections quite a bit faster, and you want to, in the early game, try and go for as many collections as you humanly can, as collections, once again, like I've said before, are your friend, because you want to try and work up and get a builder NPC, which we still don't have yet, but we're not that far into the game yet. And I'm going to be producing these tutorial videos, as I know there are a lot of people jumping into this game as we speak. Hypixel Skyblock has had its resuscitation in popularity, so this means there are a lot of influx of YouTube viewers and a lot of influx of new players on this mode. So there needs to be some kind of guides and stuff, so that way people can be helped and get some progression going, as I know not everyone like me, or not everyone was like me and did some pre-native Hypixel stuff with Stranded even before it was a game mode. So yeah, the next tip I have is for buying undead swords and spider swords. These swords do 100% damage like the end sword. However, they are just slightly better when you're fighting things. However, I still do think that carrying an end sword is better. I mean, it doesn't cost too much extra money, but then again, you're just not getting the same amount of stats. Plus, if you build a mob farm similar to this as well, right here, this is another tip, is to build this, even if you're not on Stranded, or even if you are not playing Stranded the game mode, which if you aren't, then that's kind of dumb, because you want to be playing Stranded, which is the game mode designed specifically for this. But you want to build something similar to this. It will give you some good mob spawn rates, but I've just found that building a platform like out there is better. But once again, once you've grinded out all your mob minions, you really don't need those platforms, and then you can just kind of torch them up. So yeah, that is my next tip, is to grind minions, like grinding all the minions. You want to continue to farm right here, and you want to get 2 oak minions. My minion strategy for these profiles pre-Stranded was to have 2 cobble minions going, 2 oaks, 1 wheat, which would be 6 and 2 fish. But now there's a lot more collections you want to try and progress towards. So you're going to want a birch minion down, coal, which is really useful for extra minion stuff, cobble for more building resources, and 2 oaks for more expandability in the minion storage compartment, and a fish for a bunch more collections like angler armor, salmon armor, prismarine blade, and more fishing rods, which are all useful to get more collections. So yeah. Wow, that is quite a bit of a recording there. I've been recording for 13 minutes so far. And yeah, I think aside from these as well, you also want to try and get Rosetta, as she can help you out with getting stuff. So you could buy like Rosetta's armor. I don't know how you're supposed to get the enchant stuff, but obviously you probably don't want to buy these. I would say another big tip that you want to do is try to craft as many armor sets as you can. Like, I'm going to go ahead and make myself a set of angler armor, as I think we have the collection for it, or he already do it. Wait, I need to check and see if we have the collection for it. If we don't, then, oh yeah, we definitely have the collection for it. And you also want to fish minion down to rush this, which is the water bucket collection. You already have the enchanted bone meal, but you want to rush the water bucket. This is insane. Like, honestly, this is insane. The wood progression in this game as well is another huge thing, which is why you want to get a birch sapling and place them down, and then make the birch minion so you can get the next sapling and then go through. It's basically like the layers of the foraging islands, which is the park. So it's going up the layers of that. You want to continue to progress in that, so you just place down one minion, then get saplings, and then repeat that process over and over again until you get through the wood minions. So, yeah, that is all the tips and tricks that I have for right now. I'm going to continue to make a bunch of these as this game gets older and I start to see more aspects of the game, as well as I know I've just started to barely shrink the surface of the new Hypixel Skyblock Stranded game mode. I have played the original, which was a game mode designed by players, but the new Stranded has a lot of new features, which I'm extremely excited to try out. So yeah, guys, if you'll stick with me and subscribe down below and turn the bell on, you'll never miss any more of these Skyblock streams and uploads. This has been Veagle Gamer, and yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in the next Hypixel Skyblock video. See you, everybody!